Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Paul. Great to be here.
All right, so before COVID, because that's kind of an artificial bubble, dealers are spending quite a bit of money per retail unit to bring a customer into the store. But it seems as though right when just about when that sale is made, that's kind of when everything comes to a stop. And I've been following your stuff for quite a while now, and I like what you guys are doing in this space. Why don't you share with us how you kind of fix that problem?
You know, it's irrefutable, Paul. It's a great topic, and one that that I'm really pursuing as a professional in the industry is that our industry is brilliant at acquiring a customer and horrific at retaining them. And you've mentioned on your great Sunday Night Live show often about the disconnect between the front end and the back end, and it's like two different companies working under the same rooftop in every dealership across the country. And you'll hear industry professionals say that the industry is missing a blueprint on how to do this the right way, even with digital retailing, which I believe is a valuable contribution to the growth of the industry. The problem is the associated digital experience related to digital retailing abruptly ends before the point of sale. So what does that tell the customer that was acquired digitally and then all of a sudden that's over when they bought their car? I think that clearly tells the customer transaction over, therefore relationship over. And the blueprint, we have to look, beyond, obviously, as our industry is trying to transform, we have to look in our daily lives and other industries that have already transformed. And when you take a look at retailing in general, there's no better example of that than Amazon. Amazon is not a millennial app or a Gen Z new wave thing. It's an everybody with a smartphone in their hand application or a computer on their desk. And every generation isn't just engaging it once, they're engaging over and over and over. Yeah, again. So, when you take a look at that, and really break it down, Amazon isn't this transformative giant that owns the digital retailing space because they can sell something digitally one time, like digital retailing. It's way bigger than that. It's because they've solved the desired customer digital engagement before and after the sale that keeps that customer coming back again and again and again. And when you apply this principle to the automotive retailing segment, especially the brick and mortar dealers today, it couldn't be more relevant of a model, in my opinion, because as they're emerging 100% online retail only companies are emerging, the very unique thing that separates the brick and mortar store from the 100% online only store is 100% online only store is just selling cars. Right. Where the brick and mortar store is also uniquely servicing locally those cars for their customers. Shouldn't that be part of one experience from the beginning to the end and leverage that so that the customer, after they acquire the car, stays with the dealership, not just through the servicing of that vehicle, but in buying the next vehicle? And I believe it's because the process right now is so fragmented that's why it's happening. So our solution, thanks for indulging me in that. My solution or our solution at Strategic DX is called Your Dealer Experience. And it's there to democratize dealer customer digital engagement where digital retailing abruptly ends. So we pick up that digital baton or help the dealer pick up that digital baton and have that digital engagement and all the associated revenue touch points and experiences and moments captured in that unified journey after the point of sale. And I think it's, the greatest solutions I think that have ever happened, Paul, are the ones that are most obvious. And They're simple and they're logical. And the question is, in the auto retailing industry, is it our mission to only sell a car or also earn a reoccurring customer? If the latter is true, then this solution's pretty obvious.
Well, the beautiful thing about it is that other than you, I don't believe anybody's really doing it. And here's the thing, okay? As consumers, the consumers are trained when they purchase the car It's a big purchase. It's the second most expensive purchase in a person's life. But they're trained to the point where, okay, so now you're going to go into an office where this person is going to try to sell you something. And how often is it that a customer goes into the proverbial box like this? I don't want to buy anything. I just want to sign my paperwork and get out of here. Now,
Get out of here, yeah.
That's a crime, because there are products that really benefit the customer and their ownership experience that they just have tuned out because they don't want to spend that
Paul,
time.
this is such a great point. So, how valuable is F&I revenue to the dealer? Yeah. And how valuable are these F&I products to the consumer? Both are extremely valuable, right? But we leave, as you just said, we leave this really critical point left up to the time and funding constraints of this F&I menu presentation after a customer's gone through this whole process to select and buy a car. And then after the customer leaves the dealership, if they didn't buy a product, they're not going to buy one. It's gone. It's it's now disassociated.
Yeah, and it had been as many as 7 out of 10 VC customers that came out of the business office did not purchase a product that would enhance their ownership experience.
It's such a missed opportunity because I believe it's left up to that really poor moment alone, where customers really do just want to get out of there. And when a dealership has 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of these valuable F&I products on their F&I menu, fueled, by the way, by multiple third-party administrators, how many of those products does a customer actually buy? And again, industry statistics is a little more than 1 or less than 2, to be more specific. But even if I play devil's advocate and say the customer walked out with 2, what happened to the other 5, 6, 7, 8 of them?
Right.
And they're gone forever. And so one of the things that we do on our platform, amongst many other things, is allow the customer after the point of sale to see all of their purchased F&I products on their smartphone. That's the way it should be, right? Organic and connected and transparent and simple. How many customers read their service contract or warranty after the point of sale at all? And an uneducated customer is not necessarily a good customer, and an educated customer doesn't unnecessarily drive up frequency and severity of claims. So anybody worried about that from a reinsurance position or whatever, that's a misnomer. An educated customer doesn't drive more business. It just makes a happy customer. That's it. Right. But then what we also do, because we organically show the customer or the service advisor on behalf of the customer everything they did buy, all the F&I products, even if those products are through multiple F&I administrators, in one view on their smartphone, then we can also uniquely show them and personalize everything they didn't buy after the point of sale. Correct. Personalized to them so that they can review it on their own terms and engage it and actually buy it on their smartphone, God forbid, right, in 2021 or 2022. And then after they purchase it, that product is in the same place where they can get service from it or their service advisor.
Now, here's where it really rocks it for me, okay? And I'm going to paint the scenario that plays itself across dealership service drives every day. And you pick the city, state, I don't care. It's the same. The customer comes into the drive, they have an issue, they remember they bought some kind of warranty that may or may not cover what it is that they're experiencing, but they don't remember what it is. So they come in and, Steve, you're the service advisor. Hey, Steve, I bought some kind of warranty, but I don't remember what it is, and I can't find the copy. Can you tell me what it is? What's your typical response as a service advisor?
And this is what's terrible. The terrible position that we put all of these great service advisors in is we don't equip them with the tools to be able to engage customers in that brilliant moment. The customer came back, right? It's exactly what we want. The customer came back. And then, as you said, when they say, hey, I bought my car here and I bought some protection products, I need service support, the service advisor has to say, what products did you buy from us?
Steve, I bought the car from you.
It's one of the most sobering things if you've never seen it. It's really, again, and I'll ask this for anybody watching this video, how many times does a service advisor learn for the first time what's being sold in the F&I office when a customer is standing in front of them requesting service from it?
Yes.
This is what should be a golden moment turns out to be a frustrating moment, both for the service advisor and the customer. The customer who gets confronted with it, what products should you buy from us? Do you have your copy of your warranty with you? Do you know your warranty company name? Do you know your agreement number? Of course they don't. That's why they're in your service drive.
Yes.
Right, to get service support. And what do you think the customer's thinking at that very moment where it should be this golden retention opportunity? They're thinking, wait a minute, I bought this stuff from you. Don't you know what it is?
You are the brand.
So in this particular instance, again, this is where we democratize dealer-customer digital engagement, in part by doing this, is to empower the service advisor in that very moment to say, what's your last name? Meyer, scan the VIN barcode on your vehicle, and away we go. And it shows the service advisor all the service contracts and warranties that the customer did buy and gives them a digital pathway to file a claim. Why is that a big deal, right? Well, most third-party administrators take a sobering look at this. Yeah, the way you get service through them is through your service drive traditionally, and the service advisor has to call a 1-800 number, a different one for every administrator. And they have to go through a phone queue and call hold wait times and manual claim processing. I call it in 2021 analog anarchy.
Yes.
It's ridiculous that we put our service advisors in this position, and it's unconscionable that we put this golden moment into this abyss. It's a huge mistake, and dealers, and there's many other topics, right? But people wonder why customers don't return. Well, it's because of experience moments like this and many others, right? But that's part of that transaction. Every F&I provider out there and their agents will say, hey, our F&I products help promote retention. Well, they certainly will bring the customer back to the service drive, but retention only occurs when the customer has a good experience.
What I call
otherwise, it was a retention killer.
I call that the zero moment of truth. And there are 2 zeros in that moment of truth. The first zero is it's real, it's going down right now. And the other 0 is you failed in being able to satisfy me as a customer because you had no idea what I bought from you.
The fact that this kind of service nightmare exists, both for the service advisor and the customer, is unconscionable, totally unacceptable in 2021, especially given that there's a solution to solve it and to really turn it into this golden moment of exceptional service. And then, again, I said earlier, the best ideas are obvious, right?
Yeah.
And you take a look at if F&I is really valuable to the dealer, and I know it is, and the F&I products are valuable to the consumer, and I know they are. These are service contracts, which by its simplest definition is a contract for service. Shouldn't the service experience be exceptional in 2021, or should it be this hidden, dirty little secret until the customer shows up? And then the customer and the service advisor both are frustrated. If I'm a dealer today, I'm looking at my agent or my support community and saying unacceptable, because there is a better way to engage. And there are leaders in our industry that are engaging with the very solution that we provide in order to make this process brilliant. And again, for anybody technically that's watching this, old school mentality is, hey, the reason why we make claim processing so difficult is we don't want a customer to file a claim. That's a really old school mentality that actually has no truth to it. Because you make the process simple and frictionless to engage does not increase claim frequency and severity, and therefore does not diminish these valuable reserves that the dealers, the agents, and their third-party administrators like to maintain. It just simply makes it a better experience to fuel the potential retention. But then also, like we mentioned, because we show both the customer and the dealer all the products that they purchased, then we can uniquely empower the service advisor to sell additional service contracts and warranties to their customer after the point of sale, Or Paul, what about in 2021, the customer does it from their living room on their smartphone?
Exactly.
This is something that's long overdue in our industry. It's part of what we call digital life cycle. If really the latter is true, that we're trying to also earn a reoccurring customer, then our experiences better get up to the level or above that where customers expect how to engage digitally today. And I'm going to say another thing about digital engagement, because this is really important to me, or digital transformation. This is another mistake a lot of people make. In order to digitally transform and to elevate the experience, it doesn't mean you throw away all the analog things that are working.
Right.
You know, I'm confronted with this all the time. Old school, somebody says, hey, I'd rather have a pencil and a paper, and I could do a better job with that. Well, if that's working for you, keep doing it. I'm not telling you to stop. I'm telling you to open up a new conduit for the legions of customers that desire in 2021 and beyond to engage on their smartphone. You're just embracing your customers' tendency and opening up the possibility for additional revenue touch points. I'm not asking anybody to shut their front doors or to turn their phone off. If somebody wants to make a phone call, God bless them. Keep doing it. Digital transformation does not mean to abandon the analog things that are working. It simply means to remove the redundant, unnecessary pain points that make these in-person connections that much more valuable when they occur. So the resistance to that and the old school mentality, those who have it really need to challenge themselves. We're not, you know, again, take a look around. You know, I ask people rhetorically this, Paul, next time you're in a meeting, next time you're at a dinner, and you're sitting at the table with other people in the industry, or at a meeting around a round table, these cell phones are so important. They're not only with us, they're right in front of us.
They're on the table right there.
And tell me I'm wrong, but the same is true for the consumer. It's the way the whole world engages today. This is not a, you know, again, the industry is always good about being a little late to the party. There was a Automotive news article in 2017 that its headline was, "The Millennials are coming." Well, at the point that article came out, the millennials were already here, and Gen Z was already old enough to buy cars. They're not coming, they're already here. But the truth is, digital transformation transcends an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old. I'm neither. But again, rhetorically, I'll ask, how often is your head in your smartphone? You know, the same is true for everybody. It's the way people desire to engage. And again, it's not to remove the human element. It's to remove the pain points so that the human element becomes more valuable. That's the currency of it.
Here's the beauty.
Yep.
Here's the beauty. So Amazon changed the way the world does business. All right. We've gone from being car dealers. Now we're retailers, no different than anybody else. I buy a lot of things on Amazon, and I buy warranties for those things on Amazon. When my printer goes, then I always buy a warranty because I know it's going to go. I have one of these fancy laser print stations where all my devices are connected to it wirelessly and can print from wherever. All I do is I go into my Amazon app, I look at my purchases, I go back to the warranty, I can click on it, get all the information I want, file that claim right there within the app, and within, I don't know, I think it's within a few days, I've got a full credit for what I'm due. And that cycle, the digital life cycle, repeats itself because now I buy my next printer and my next one.
And that's the important part. It's not that they want to give the money back or take the return and make it so easy. What they do is they want you to come back and buy something else. You know, Paul, when I was just at Digital Dealer not too long ago, I heard somebody that I really respect and who's been a positive voice for digital transformation say, you know, hey, it's all just retailing. It's retailing in the front and it's retailing in the back. It's all just retailing. Here's the problem is for the automotive industry, is it one-time retailing or is it reoccurring customer retailing? Which do we desire? And our actions speak louder than our words. The reason why it is the way it is today, again, with these statistics about, how many customers that painstakingly choose a dealership and spend tens of thousands of dollars there, most of them never come back.
18 out of 100 come back for service.
And the reason,
out of
yeah,
100.
and the reason why, because that's what's earned.
Right.
Right. That's that we're putting customers in that mindset. That's what's earned. What we have to do, it's similar to our dealer messaging feature that we have on our application as well, where, after the point of sale, I'll ask a dealer, how do you communicate with your customer after the point of sale? And I'll explain why that's important. Everybody, and again, irregardless of generation, everybody knows business is built on relationships. Tell me I'm wrong, right?
Always has been. We tend to reinvent it, but it's always been that way since my first day in the car business.
And the part that makes that possible is good, longstanding relationships are built on good communication. So you have a beautiful partner in life, your wife. Stop communicating with her in a way that she receives, and what would happen? Right. The relationship is over, right? I mean, that's what happens in real life. That's what happens in business too. So when I ask a dealership, how do you communicate with your customer after the point of sale? The things I hear, Paul, are shocking. Some say, I don't know, do we communicate with our customer after we sell them a car? I went through a car buying experience, buying a car for my wife about a year ago, and I got communicated by the dealer's salesperson relentlessly, only asking me if I had filled out a survey that I had not received yet. That was the communication. Right. That's it. So, and for dealers that do communicate, what are their methods? There are phone solicitations, junk mail, whether that's email or postal, or random text messages. And they are random because if the dealer's information is not on the customer's address book on their phone, it's random. Or if they use a text messaging platform and a phone number comes over like 23-09. As consumers, we're conditioned that all of these methods are probably fraudulent.
Correct.
Don't click on anything because you'll probably lose your identity. Now, I'm not saying that that's truly what's happening. I'm saying that's how people are conditioned, right?
Perception is reality, Steve.
So then I also ask, again, anybody watching this, how often do you pursue phone solicitations, or what do you do? What do you do if you get a junk email? Do you start clicking on links or do you delete? What about a random text message from 23-09? It's not if we're communicating, but how we're communicating that makes the connection or not in 2021. In our platform, it's push notifications linked to stylized messaging. Now, not everybody knows what a push notification is by name, but everybody interacts with these all day long. These notifications we get on our phone, like you missed a phone call or you missed a text message. What if you got a message, the first message from your dealer on your smartphone via push notification? And I always ask the industry, what should that message be after the point of sale? The first one. I think it should be, thanks for buying a car from us. Welcome to the family. We're looking forward to being on this journey with you, to put a clear stake in the ground that selling you a car was not the end of our relationship, but just the beginning. And we have to do that. Or what about a service director that introduces the service drive after the point of sale? Because it's really hard to do that service walk when a customer's trying to buy a car. You said it earlier, they want to get out of there. And the last thing they're thinking about at that moment is servicing their car, right? So it's like, hey, can we show you our service department? And they're like, why?
With curbside delivery today, that's even less.
So what if a service director, has a video, one-time video that he can share with every customer after they buy their vehicle that says, hey, welcome to our dealership, welcome to our family. Let me show you how our dealership can uniquely support you better than anybody on your ownership journey, to introduce the attributes of that service drive, to make customers aware of how this relationship will continue. We don't have to sell people. We have to educate them and make them aware of what we're doing to inspire what's next, not to, club them over a head and hope that, all the levers fall the right way so that a customer just finds their way back to the dealer.
And we're communicating through your app in a way that's giving them value. It's not just asking them with a handout every time. You're actually,
Yeah, here's another thing, Paul, I'll jump ahead a little bit, but we have other attributes in our application like a rewards program. The industry and every consumer understands the transaction of a rewards program. We interact with them all the time. Here's the way it works. The more business I, as the consumer, do with you, the more points I get. And the more points I get, the more business I do with you. It's a beautiful dance, right? Rewards. Whether it's an airline or Chick-fil-A or, you name it, right? Rewards programs are everywhere. Do you know why?
they work.
They work. But here's the magic of it. So we have a rewards program in our platform. Because we can uniquely see that a customer bought a vehicle, you can get points for that. What about each service contract or warranty that you bought? We can see that too. You get points for that. What about a social media like? You should get points for that. What about your first service back at the dealership? Let's get some points for that. What about a community event sponsored by the dealer that the dealer wants you to attend? And give you some points for that. So you show up and you're part of this community event sponsored by the dealer. And there's 100 other positive touch points which help build that relationship one moment at a time. But here's the magic of all that. All the things that we just talked about, like dealer communication with push notification or digital claims engagement, where you can see all your service contracts and warranties and engage them in one view and one application, or buying additional service contracts or warranties after the point of sale that were missed at the point of sale organically and personalized in the same application or rewards program. The magic here, Paul, is not that we do all of them individually brilliant, and my opinion's biased, and we do better than anybody. But the magic here is that we have them all in one unified dealer-branded application. Because here's another obvious thing, right? The most brilliant things are usually obvious. Is how many digital engagement platforms will a customer successfully engage with their dealer after the point of sale? One. They're not going to download 5 apps.
Right.
And this is the problem with the industry when we look at this is like, hey, I've got a text messaging app, or hey, I have a rewards app. We are contemplating the fact that the customer is going to embrace and download and engage all those.
They're not.
They're not. They're just simply not. So we work in the industry, not only are these organically part of our platform, but we also work with dealers and other technological companies in our industry to help unify that journey where we can plug in their solutions into ours too. Again, our platform is called Your Dealer Experience. It's not my experience, it's your experience with your customers. So should this be organic? And the other thing I'll bring up, which is a common question by people, is, okay, so multiple apps, what about the OEM app? This is the easiest one. What relationship does a dealer want to promote with their customer? The OEM relationship or theirs?
Only one that I know of.
They want to promote their relationship. So even in an instance where they're forced to promote an app, should that app primarily be their connection with their customer? And we say, it's the dealer's customer. It should always be their relationship. That's our slogan. And it should be. These relationships shouldn't end at the point of sale. In my humble opinion, and for the strength of the industry that we all love, it should be just where it begins.
When they've given you permission by forking over their $30,000 or $40,000, that is when the relationship permission is given. And that's typically where most people fall down.
And permission, but also it's the place where it needs to be earned. This is old school, but true. We're not anointed with these relationships. We have to earn them. We have to earn them one moment at a time. How we treat our customers before the point of sale, at the point of sale, after the point of sale. To the industry, these are like different parts. To the customer, this is one journey. And we have to start looking at it from the customer's point of view. If we want, I've seen a lot of the guests on your show, Paul, which I love, and a lot of the great companies that use your great solution, dealervendormatch.com. All of them have important contributions, but we can't keep looking at this as a disconnected analog anarchy mess, because from the consumer's perspective, that's not acceptable.
I'm gonna share something with you.
Okay.
The biggest benefit is to the customer. And when the customer benefits, they will be your disciples. And I'll give you a perfect example of what's happened to us in the last week and a half or so. A friend of ours came over. She was parking her car, and I heard this god-awful noise from her car. Okay. And I said, wow, what is that noise? She says, you heard that? I said, yes, clear as day. She said, well, she had bought it someplace. She took it back to them. They told her they couldn't find anything wrong, but they did note, thankfully, on the paperwork that the noise was there. So I have a local garage that I use, a place called A1 Auto. Wonderful people. Customer service is their lifeblood. And because of that, we service
the first one in the phone book.
And because of that, we service two of our vehicles there. And I said, you know what? The best plan is, why don't you bring it to my friend's shop? They'll check it out for you because I trust them explicitly. And then you can use that diagnosis to go back to get your stuff done under warranty that should have been taken care of when you bought the car. So it's a win-win for everybody. Mostly,
again, we earn it. Good news travels fast, bad news travels faster. We all know that. And, for our industry, are we going to fulfill this self-prophecy that we're just selling cars and we're not earning customers? Because if that's the pathway the brick and mortar dealers are on, then the 100% online retailers have already won.
Yes.
And there's so much more to the brick and mortar dealer. Again, this part of the industry that I love is that they can uniquely service the car. But, it's interesting. And there's a lot of people that hate this correlation, the Blockbuster video topic, say, hey, that's not relatable to the auto industry. And listen, it's not intended to be a threat. It's intended to be a lesson.
Right.
That Blockbuster was the titan for a long time in their segment. And they had an opportunity to buy Netflix. They had an opportunity to replicate what Netflix was doing. And they thought to themselves, they conditioned themselves, they rationalized that, hey, customers like to come into our stores. They like to fight for a video on Friday night. They like, rental fees because you didn't return them on time, past due fees. And the truth was those were exactly the pain points that the customer didn't like. And what they weren't doing, to your point, is they weren't looking at it from their customer's perspective. They were looking at it from theirs. Blockbuster liked receiving those late fees. It was a huge part of their revenue. And when people say that Netflix killed Blockbuster, they're wrong. Blockbuster killed Blockbuster.
Exactly.
And again, whether you like that correlation or not, it's minimally a good business lesson that we have to look that transformation is something to meet or exceed the customer's expectations. And again, as far as I'm concerned, as one of those people leading digital transformation, I'm not proposing that anybody with longstanding contribution to the industry has to abandon the analog things that work. I'm saying enhance the relationship and make a connection to today's customer that they desire, and the two can and should coexist together.
Hear, hear. I want to thank you, Steve, for sharing. This has been very informative.
Thank you, Paul. I really love what you do.
Thank you.